When most people think of the military, they picture soldiers marching, tanks rolling, or planes soaring through the sky. But there is a job on a U.S. aircraft carrier that might just surprise you, and not in the way you'd expect. Aircraft carriers are known as the floating cities of the sea, massive vessels that serve as mobile air bases and symbolize American power. They carry everything from fighter jets to helicopters, and they're equipped with cutting-edge technology and world-class military personnel. But inside this environment, there is one job that often gets overlooked, and it is a position that will totally shock you. It's not glamorous. It's not one that will make you famous. But it is essential for the day-to-day operations of the entire ship. And it is one that very few people actually know about. Imagine being stationed in one of the busiest, most intense environments in the world, with thousands of people working around the clock in a confined space, surrounded by massive machinery, and with a constant sense of urgency. The job we're talking about, the role of the catapult officer, or as they are often called, the shooter. On an aircraft carrier, planes don't just take off from a runway like they do at a civilian airport. Instead, they are catapulted into the air from a launch platform using steam power. And this job is critical to making that happen. But it's not just about pressing a button or pulling a lever. The catapult officer is responsible for ensuring that each and every launch is executed perfectly. And that includes making sure the aircraft, the crew, and the ship itself are all in perfect working order before the plane even gets near the catapult. Imagine standing at the front of a line of jets, each of them revving their engines ready to take off. The air is filled with the deafening roar of engines and the intense pressure of the moment. You are responsible for everything: the timing, the mechanics, the coordination between the pilot and the rest of the crew. One mistake could result in disaster. The plane could fail to launch properly, or worse, something could go wrong mid-air. There is no room for error. You need to have nerves of steel, sharp focus, and an understanding of every single part of the launch system. The first thing to know is that the launch of an aircraft off the carrier is far from simple. The catapult system itself is a marvel of engineering. It uses steam-powered pistons to launch the aircraft at speeds that can reach over 150 miles per hour in just a couple of seconds. The force is immense. The catapult is essentially a giant spring that helps propel planes into the air, and it is all controlled by the shooter, who has to make sure that everything is aligned perfectly for the best and safest launch. Before the plane even gets into position, the shooter has already been working behind the scenes, checking every part of the catapult system. The tracks, the steam pistons, the launch platform itself, all need to be inspected for wear and tear. The shooter must also ensure the pilot is ready, from checking that the plane's brakes are set to ensuring the safety pins are removed. They must also work with the flight deck crew to make sure that everyone is in position and ready for the operation. Once everything is set, the shooter will give the pilot the signal to move the plane forward. The shooter then looks for the clear signal from the pilot and makes the final checks. Once that's done, it's time to release the catapult. With a loud whoosh, the aircraft is launched into the air with a force that can feel like an explosion under your feet. The shooter is the one who is physically in control of this moment, and they must do it again and again, hundreds of times every day, with no margin for error. But it's not just about the physicality of the job. The pressure is also mental. You are responsible for not only the lives of the pilots, who are often flying high-tech, multi-million-dollar jets, but also the thousands of people who are on the carrier with you. If anything goes wrong, the consequences are catastrophic. And yet, in the chaos of the flight deck, the shooter must maintain absolute calm and focus. Every movement counts, every decision matters. One of the most intense moments in a shooter's career might happen when the weather conditions aren't perfect. Aircraft carriers spend months out at sea, and during this time, the weather can turn violent. The seas get rough, the wind picks up, and the fog rolls in. Still, planes need to launch, and the shooter must adjust to these rapidly changing conditions. Adjustments are made to ensure that the planes launch at the right moment, with the right amount of force, even when the deck is moving beneath them. These extreme conditions add a whole new layer of challenge to an already demanding job. And let's not forget the sheer scale of it all. An aircraft carrier is an enormous ship, often with more than 5,000 crew members on board. With all those people, there's always something happening. The flight deck is a constant flurry of activity, with planes being moved into position, maintained, and prepared for launch. The shooter must coordinate with other crew members, from aircraft handlers to deck crew, to ensure that the flow of operations stays smooth and safe. But what's perhaps most surprising about this job is how little recognition it gets. The shooter stands at the heart of one of the most vital functions on the aircraft carrier, but their role is often overlooked by the general public. While the pilots get the glory of flying the jets, It's the catapult officer who makes sure that they can actually take off. They are the ones who ensure the planes get into the air day in and day out in all kinds of conditions. It's also a job that requires a unique combination of technical knowledge, physical stamina, and mental resilience. You can't just step into the role without years of training. Shooters are often seasoned veterans who have spent years working on the flight deck, learning the ins and outs of the catapult system and gaining the trust of their fellow crew members. Their job requires constant vigilance, and even after years of experience, each launch still carries the same level of intensity as the first. When you think about the job of a catapult officer, you realize just how much goes into making a modern aircraft carrier work. It's not just about planes flying off a deck. It's about precision, coordination, and the incredible technical skills of the men and women who make it happen. The next time you see a jet take off from an aircraft carrier, remember that there's a catapult officer behind it, working tirelessly to ensure that the aircraft launches safely and efficiently. So, while many people are familiar with the pilots, the aircraft carriers, and the jets, it's time to shine a spotlight on one of the most crucial yet overlooked jobs in the U.S. Navy. The catapult officer, Simone, whose job might just shock you with how much it truly involves. It's not glamorous, but without them, none of it would be possible.